welcome back to my channel. This is going to be part 3 of my MERN Stack Web Development course. Today we are going to work on our CRUD operation, and before doing that I'd like to go ahead and make some changes on my node controller.js file and node route.js file. On my first video I had typed like node /id and /id on patch and delete routes. But I'd like to go ahead and remove those IDs because I will be passing ID through the body. So the codes you can see right now is correct, but I'd like to go ahead and delete it anyways and code it right now so that we all can understand. Okay, so const read nodes, we're going to create endpoints, and it's going to be async handler and async here, which has request and response. And let's do const nodes. Wait, because we have used async on top. Node dot find, and we are going to change this with lean method. Okay, it's because Mongo's documentation has suggested to do so, because using this lean method it doesn't give you the unnecessary functions as output like save. Okay, and now we are going to check if nodes has some data or not. So so 400.json, I'm going to pass a message here. Let's save it. Or else we are going to response.status 200 okay status dot JSON, and we are going to pass nodes. And that's all for read nodes. We just changed this line 7 code and changed it with lean method. That's all. Let's work on our create node now. It's going to be async handler as well. It has request and response. So let's bring title and description from the body, because we will be passing, when we are creating something, we'll be passing title and description from form. Okay, so title, and it's going to be request.body. And now let's check if title and description did come through. So if there is no title and description, we are going to pass this error message. And if title and description are passed through, then we are going to work on our create. Okay, so it's going to be await, because we used async node.create, and we are going to pass title and description inside object. All right. And now let's check if create went through or not. So if if it was created, then it's going to give you the node. And let's work on our update node. Async handler, async request and response, and just like create, update will also have title and description, but it will also have an ID because we need to know which ID it is actually trying to update. So let's get ID from the body, const ID, title and description. So in my previous tutorial, that is on part 1, I had passed ID through params. Nothing wrong, but this time I'd like to just go ahead and get ID, title and description, everything through the body, and it actually makes things easier for me, which you will know that later when we create our API slice. Okay, so let's work on this update node. So first of all, we'd like to make sure that the record with this ID exists. Okay, and let's do like await node dot find by ID, and let's pass this ID that's coming from body, and let's chain this with exec function. So what why are we using exec is because we are passing something that is ID, and in return we are going to get something. So in that kind of situation we are going to use exec. And also let's not forget to check if these are empty or not. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. And let's not forget to check ID. And after checking if there is a record or not with that specific ID, if there is not a record with that ID, then let's give this message. And if yes, if anything found, then we would like to do something like this. Note, sorry, it's going to be note dot title, which means title inside this note. So this will give you the data and assign it inside this, and it's going to get the title from this. Okay, will be equals to this title passed from the body, passed from the form. Okay, similarly with the description also, note dot description is equals to description passed from the body, and we are going to use save function to save it. Okay, so const updated node equals await, and we are going to use this note.save function. So we are this note, we are using it from here, and we are just saving it, not creating a new note. And also something to talk about, using this save function, we wouldn't have been able to use this save if we hadn't used this lean on read notes. So using this lean allowed us to use save function. Okay, and let's check if we received the updated note or not. So if could not be updated, and if it was updated, then let's do 200 OK status, and inside JSON let's pass the updated note and let's save it. This should update. Now let's work on our delete node. Async handler and async. It has request and response. So let's get ID, just the ID from the body, because we don't need title and description to delete the data. So ID request.body. And now let's find out if that record exists or not. So to do that, let's copy this and paste it here. Now this is going to check if there is any record with this ID or not. And something to remember, again, we are using this exec method because we are passing something and in return we are getting something, and that gets assigned inside note. And if there is no note, we are going to pass this message, and if there is that note, then we are going to const await note dot. So also something to notice, we are using this delete one function, and we were able to use this because we used lean method in read notes. So if we hadn't used lean over here, we wouldn't have been able to use delete one. Okay, and this should delete that record. Could not be deleted. And if it got deleted, then we are going to response dot status 200, and let's pass a JSON message. Let's save it, and that is all. And now let's, and also we already removed ID from patch and delete. So let's this is also done. So that was all the changes I would like to make on node controller.js. Now let's start working on our node API slice. We have already completed read operation in our previous video on part 2. I'd like to go ahead and work on that here one more time. If somebody didn't understand that tutorial or something, can always go ahead and watch this one. Okay, so I had mentioned about entity adapter on my previous video, so I'd like to show you something here on my browser. So using entity adapter, we are able to have this initial state which has objects. It has entities and it has IDs. So how we can understand is IDs is an array and it can be iterated, and entities has the data. So the ID from IDs will map to that specific data. So let's understand from this. So I have this 5 record here, and IDs will have 5 IDs. If you see this carefully, it has 5 IDs, and every ID is mapped with specific record on the table entity. So this is entities table, and it has, these are the records. And also something to check, Mongo's database, MongoDB has underscore ID, not just ID. So that's what we will be transforming when using transform response in just a bit. But notice that we have this ID that's mapping to this record, and this record has the same ID. Okay, and that's what entity adapter initial state does. It just creates entities and IDs where we can perform read operation and later do CRUD operation. Okay, we will understand this in more detail just in a bit. So let's import create entity adapter, and also we'd like to import create selector. And here I'd like to import API slice also. Something to look into. We have this API slice.js file where we are creating API, and it's an object with 3 things: base, query, tag types, and endpoints. And we will be building endpoints in our Node API slice. Okay, so let's import this. All right, now const. So this, we are working on nodes model. So node adapter create entity adapter. It's a function with an object. Okay, and const initial state equals, we're going to use node adapter dot, and the intelligence will give you this function get initial state. And this is a function. Let me just repeat that. Okay, all right, now let's const, and let's do export const. And the name will be node API slice, just like our file name. Equals, so we are going to use this to inject endpoints over here. Okay, inside API slice. So API slice dot inject endpoints. It's a function with an object, and what this means is we are going to inject endpoints in here inside endpoints, and builder will build the endpoints. Okay, so let's do endpoints here. And if you are concerned where did I get all this code from, then you check out the documentation, official documentation of RTK. You'll get a lot of information in there. So this is this endpoints. This is the code I will be typing just in a second. And see they have used base query and used this fetch base query. It's just like an Axios, and it has base URL. And in my development environment, I have given localhost URL, but here it's something else. And so yeah, so this is something that we will be working on just in a second, because eventually all the endpoints will be automatically converted to the React hook. Read operation will have query, and other operations like update, delete, and create will have mutation. Okay, so let's go back to our code and start working on our endpoints. So endpoints, we will be typing builder such, and let's type read notes, and this is going to be our endpoint, read notes. Okay, so this endpoint will have builder.query. Okay, and so this is an object, so it's going to have query, and it's going to have validate status, and it's also going to have transform response, and last but not the least, it has provide stacks. Okay, and let's see what it has inside the query. So query, it's going to have function with an arrow, and here we're going to pass the route API/nodes. And if you are confused where did I get this from, go to server.js, and this is where it's coming from. Okay, we're going to pass this over here. So our code will be completely different in other endpoints like create, update, and delete. Read notes is the complicated one, the most complicated one. So might be slightly difficult to understand, but other endpoints will be easier. All right, let's move to validate status. So validate status will have response and result. Okay, it's going to return response dot status equals 200, which is the OK status, and result has no error. So we're going to check if result has no error. Okay, so let's make this to false, and that is it. So this is how it's going to check that the status is valid or not. Transform response is quite important because let me show you something here. In our MongoDB, the data are stored with _ID, but in here we are just using ID, so we need to transform the response so that the ID will become _ID. Okay, so let's say response data such that, so let's assign response data to new response. Okay, new response equals response data dot map. We are going to map through response data, and let's call it note such that note dot id equals note dot _id. Okay, so it's assigning _id to the normal ID, and now let's return note, and also we would have to return this. We're going to pass this new response in our initial state. If we don't set the initial state with this new response, it's not going to work. So it's going to be return, and to get access to initial state always goes through note adapter, dot set all, and this will pass initial state, and we're going to pass new response, and that should work. And now inside provide, there is an error showing. Let's see. Okay, we'll work on that just in a bit. For provide tag, so it's going to have response, it's going to have result, error, and argument. So if you do like this, let's copy this, and Google, let's just paste it. You can just go down and see these. Alright, we're just going a little more down. Alright, this is exactly what I was typing. Okay, so it has result, error, and argument, and we are iterating through the IDs of the result. We are going to do it slightly differently because this way I don't think you'll understand. So let's do it. Let's check if result dot IDs, because remember result has IDs. We have IDs and entities. So it's just checking that there is IDs in the result, which means there is some data in the result. Okay, so let's put this on. So this means if there is no ID or if there is null, it's not going to give you null exception. It's just going to give you undefined. Okay, if there is IDs, then we are going to return square bracket, and it's an object type. Type will be note, and then ID will be list, because we have multiple IDs. multiple ID inside this IDs. Okay, and now let's put comma here and then here. We are going to iterate through IDs. Okay, so resolve dot IDs dot map, and let's pass ID such that okay, I'm sorry, not like this. It's going to be like this, and inside is an object, and we are going to do type. It's going to be node, and ID will be ID. So we're just going to leave it like this. Okay, and let's put this on top just like this, and else, and we are going to return this as it is. Let's copy this and let's paste it, and a square bracket here, and that should complete our read note endpoints. Read notes endpoint. Okay, let's put a comma in here, and let's move to create note. Okay, so inside create note we will be doing builder dot mutation this time, not query. Okay, function with an object, and in here we are going to pass query, and let's see what it has. So in query we are going to just pass the data that was passed from the body. So initial data such that it's an object, and it has three things. It has URL, comma, it has method, comma, and last but not the least, it has body. Okay, so inside body we will be passing exactly this, what's coming from the body. Okay, let's copy this. We are getting initial spread operator with initial data, and in URL we're going to pass underscore API underscore notes, and in method it's going to be post, and that's it for the query. Now there's something else called invalidate tags. So what this does is, until and unless it invalidates, RTK invalidates the cache memory, it will give you the initial data whatever was in the cache memory. So every time this create node is called, or update node is called, or delete node is called, it's expecting you to invalidate the cached data in the memory and then refetch the new data. That's all. So this is going to have exactly this. Okay, let's copy this, and no return, nothing. Okay, just like this. And now let's work on our update, which is exactly same like create node. Let's copy this and let's paste it here, but some changes of course. So update, so it's going to be mutation because it's going to change something. for sure, and it is also giving us the initial data. Let's assume new data from the table, from the form, and then URL will be the same, but here it will be a batch, and this is going to be the same. Now inside invalidate tag, we are going to pass that specific ID. So in here, it's just, so we're going to pass result, error, and argument. Okay. Let's scroll up. Let's cut this and paste it here. And in ID, it's going to be argument.id, not just list, okay? We're going to the specific ID. And let's save it. That's all for update nodes, and let's copy this and let's paste it for the delete node. And instead of initial data, we are going to pass the ID inside ID, like this way, and then this is going to be delete, and instead of initial data, it's going to be just ID. And let's see, and this should be the same, and let's save it. Now all these endpoints will be can be automatically used as React hooks. So export const and equals node API slice. So inside this const, we are going to use, so intelligence will give you this. So I didn't type this, it was the intelligence because it already created the hook for all these endpoints. Okay, so use, I have create. So if I type this, it's going to give you this hook, and you can see it's saying mutation over here for sure. Create, update, and delete will have mutation. So use update mutation and use delete mutation. So using these three in other component is slightly different than using this query. Okay, we'll see that just in a bit. And after completing this part, we are going to use selector. Okay, so let's get the result here first. So the result will be node API slice dot endpoints dot read nodes, and we are going to change this with select. Okay, and this should give you the result, but in real we actually need data, not the result. So this result needs to be converted to data so that selector can you can get this selected in other components. So to do that, we are not going to export, we're just using const select read node data equals, we are using create selector, this one. And if you notice, I had already imported create selector in the beginning of our tutorial, and we are using create selector and passing select and then comma new such that new result dot data. Okay, so this should change the result to data. Now let's use export const and here we are going to get to use select all and also select by ID. These keywords not made up by me, it's automatically created by RTK. So it's going to equals node adapter dot let's see, it's here get selectors. So we are allowed to use this get selectors using node adapter. Okay, and inside get selector we are going to pass this in the state. Okay, so state such that sorry, here, this is how it works. And we'd like to rename this select all by select all nodes, and we'd like to rename this by select node by ID, and let's save it. And that's all, I guess. And also something, if there is nothing, we'll go back to the initial state. So this is null collision, and okay, let's save it. Now that we have completed this part, now let's go to read nodes file, and basically it doesn't have anything. So this is my code. I'm going to read nodes and create node. There's nothing. So let's start working on read nodes. Okay, so to read the nodes we are going to call this. Now let's split the screen. So we're going to call this query. So let's copy this and we're going to import. Okay, so let's copy this, and to use this we are going to do something like this, const and equals this, and of this is going to be a function. Okay, and inside const we're going to destructure this, and it has data comma, it has is loading comma is success, it has is error, it has error, it has a lot of things. We are only going to use these three for now, and let's see. So we're going to rename data with nodes right now, because we can't denote data in every features, like we might have multiple features like notes, users, books, food, and it's basically helpful for us to know what exactly data are we talking about. So let's destructure these nodes. So nodes will have ID and entities. So const IDs, comma, entities equals nodes. Okay, and select content. Let's initialize this content here with using let, and now if is loading, let's do sorry, let's copy this content equals h2 loading. Okay, and if it's success, then we will have something inside const. Okay, let's let's scroll just a little bit for some room, and so here inside is success. We're going to const. We are going to display in a table. So table data equals. We're going to iterate through IDs. Okay, so IDs dot map, and we're going to call ID for individual ID. So let's make it node ID such that or we can just put this in a single line. We're going to display the data in nodes component. Okay, and inside nodes we will be passing key as node ID and node ID as node ID. And let's save it. So let's see if we have this or not yet. So inside nodes, let's create a file named nodes.js. Okay, and RAFCE because I have ES7 React snippet. And let's see here one more time. And let's so content equals, we're going to create a table here. Okay, okay, and table has table head and table body. Okay, so let t head has table row and table data td has title description. Let's copy, and it has description actions. And table body has table row and table data, but we are going to copy this and paste it here. Okay, so that we are going to get this table data in notes component. And now inside return, let's pass this content. Okay, it's going to be something like this. Let's save it. So basically what I am doing is this content which is returned to notes does have a table, okay, and the table has table data and their key is node ID. Okay, let's go inside our node, but I think we need to import this nodes in this. So let's bring this component nodes. Okay, and let's save it. So inside nodes.js, let's bring our node ID and let's save it. So here something to import. We are going to import some selectors. So import use selector, just because we'd like to use selector here, and we are also going to use select node by ID. Okay, so let's do const node equals use selector, and we are going to pass state such that select node by ID, and we are going to pass state and ID, and the ID will be this ID. Okay, individual ID of the nodes, and that is it. And I guess we are able to use this node over here. So let's do just create a fragment, empty fragment, and tr td. It has node dot title, node dot description, and in the actions I am going to add two buttons, one for edit button is for delete, and let's save it. Okay, I guess this should work. And so it has some errors. Let's see what it's talking about. So okay, it's saying read nodes.js 13. Oh, so it's saying it's not able to read these. So and let's see what is the other error, because I don't see anything undefined, and the other is same. Okay, it's the same error. It just has problem with the IDs. Okay, so oh, I'm sorry. So this, let's cut this. You know what? This should be inside the success here. Let's paste it and save it. And now it should be working, because only this can be only extracted if it's success. So let's see. Yeah, it's actually fetching the data. And okay, we're okay. So for edit and delete, we can't do anything because we haven't written anything yet. So let's work on our create node.js. Okay, so inside this, let's, if you click on create node.js, we want to see a form where I can pass the data. So I'll just type title and put type equals text, and name equals title, and value equals title. Let's see. First, let's just close the tag here and value equals title, and on change on title change. Okay, there are multiple ways. If your form is very long, you could do all at once, like all on change, whole form change at once. I just have two rows to update, so I'll just do it like this way. Let's copy this and paste it here, and it's going to be description. I think that is it, and we have to add a button here, and type equals submit, and the most important thing, form, declaration of form. Sorry about that. Okay, let's cut these and wrap them inside the form, and on submit going to be okay. Okay, now we have to do a few things. We need to first work on our state. So you import use state and const title and set title. I have worked on this use state and explained all about the state in my previous videos of Python and React.js course. So if you are confused, please follow those videos. I'm going to use state and it's going to be empty. So initially our title input field will be empty, and similarly const description and set description. Use state and it's going to be empty as well. Okay, now let's work on our on title change. This is a function. So whatever is the value in the form will be on title change. Okay, I'm sorry, also we need to set title. Let's copy this. Okay, so whatever will be the value in the input field will be set to the description, and we are able to get the value of description that is inside the input form. Okay, that's how we use this states. And let's see. Okay, the other thing we'd like to work on is going to be on create submit. So copy this. And now in order to create a new node, let's check this out. We need to use this create node endpoint, right? In order to use this create node endpoint, we need to bring this mutation. Let's copy this over here. Okay, not here, sorry, inside create node. So const and in the case of mutation we're going to use this arrow bracket, and we are going to use, I'm sorry, I miss spoke about this. We don't need to import, we don't need to import this. We're just going to import this. We're just going to call this endpoint create node and destructure it. So I'll do it and show you how exactly. Let's copy this and go to our create node.js and type paste this and put a comma, and then we have an object where we're going to use is success comma is. So as I had mentioned earlier, it's different than this, because in this we're putting this data is loading in success in one object. In create node mutation, because it's mutation, we are putting this, we are calling endpoint first and then using these, okay, in the as an object. So here let's do so in is success, let's rename it to is create success, because there it will be a time when we will have to call is success in the delete. So it's going to is delete success, is create success. We're going to rename it that way, okay? Is create loading and we are going to call this for create node, we are going to call this, okay, mutation. It's a method, paste it, and let's import this. Okay, and let's save it. And now in create submit, we are going to call this here, let's put async and let's await, and let's put this endpoint, so which is create node. We're allowed to use this, and then as an object we're going to pass title and description. So title and description is coming from the value, okay, and this value will be determined in this whatever is the state. So if anything is changed, it's going to be changed using this set title, and this will eventually set the state of title to whatever is typed. And let's change this to description and let's save it. All right, let's okay. And after creating this node, we'd like to go ahead and navigate the page to read nodes, okay? So to do that, let's import this. There's something called use navigate. Okay, yeah. Let's make an object of this. So const navigate equals use navigate, and I guess we will be able to navigate using this navigate, okay? Let's copy this and I guess we need to uh, here in here. Okay, let's see if this works or not first. And if any changes are required, we'll do that. Okay, so it's actually working fine. Okay, let's start working on our delete node and then we can work on our update. Okay, so there is inside in, so here is delete node, so on click handle delete, and let's copy this, and I think we can work on this handle delete right in this page. Const, this is going to take an event. Let's save it, and just like create node, we're going to use navigate after it's deleted. Okay, let's copy this and let's use this navigate here and use navigate, and let's save it. And once it's deleted, let's copy this and paste it here. It's going to go to read notes. Oh, let's see if, give me just a second. I guess we also need we need to use something else called use effect here also, and in create node also. I forgot to mention here. Let's do something. So there is something called use effect, and it's a function which has function inside it, and it's going to take empty brackets here, but like as I shown you, this is success. Once it's created or once it's success, then we're going to copy this, and if it's success, then we want our page to be loaded like and navigated every time we add something. Okay, so and what if this is success, then we'd like to set the state of our title, that is the form fields, to empty, and set description to empty. Okay, and you know what, this navigation can be done inside use effect. Let's cut this and paste it here, and in here we're going to use this. Let's copy this, and I think we need to use this navigate also. Let's copy this and paste it here, just because it's going to give you the error message if you don't pass navigate here. And I'd love to test this, but I need to complete this handle delete before testing, otherwise it's going to show error again. So even same with handle delete, I'm gonna pass this navigate inside use effect. So it's a function which has a function inside it, and it's going to take this arrow, and let's pass this empty brackets here, and For delete also, we're going to call this mutation. Okay, this use delete mutation. Let's copy this and let's call it. There you go. By using this mutation, we are able to use this arrow bracket, and delete node endpoint is what we will be using. And let's use this object and is success. We're not going to use is loading right now. You can use if you want to, if you have any specific is loading message to display. Let's save it and let's go down just a little bit. Okay, now we are allowed to use, let's pass async here first, and here await. So we're going to use this, allowed to use this delete node endpoint, and here we'll be passing the ID. Okay, so ID will be node.id. Okay, so ID will be node.id. I guess so, hopefully. Okay, we'll test that shortly. And inside use effect, we're going to do is if is, oh, let's rename it to delete success. Let's copy this, let's paste it here, and here too also pass navigate, and this navigate, we are going to use it here. Let's save it. That's it. Let's see if we have any bugs. Okay, I think that's all. Let's try and test this out first. Let's refresh the page. Okay, so let's delete the first record, that's Andrew Parker, and it's saying there is some internal error. So it's Vicor network, and so there is a payload that's actually, let's clear everything and click on this delete, and let's see. It's actually passing the ID, which is correct. And I guess there is some problem with the API. So let's see. So it's giving you the data for sure. Let's copy this and let's do like this. Let's paste it here, remove this underscore, and let's change this to delete and see if it gets deleted or not. No. So there is problem with my delete. Okay, let's check our code in our controller page. Here you go. Oh, so there was a small typo. Instead of request RQ. Okay, let's save it, and instead of testing here, let's try to test it here itself. Let's refresh. Okay, let's clear out our network and delete. So it's actually passing the payload, and let's refresh. Okay, and it got deleted. So let's see. So the controller, the code is fine here. So inside notes, okay, so delete is success and read notes. I think this is fine. We have problem inside this. Invalidate stack is also fine, looks fine. Oh, you know what? I think we don't need this curly braces here. Let's save it and check. And also with this, just gonna take that square bracket and okay, let's try to refresh and okay, let's delete this third record and let's refresh. Yeah, it's deleting only after refresh. So now we need to check our provide stack. It's really nice that we are working and fixing our errors as we go through. It's very important. Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put this spread operator over here because let's save it and let's try one more time. Let's try to remove this Catherine read. And oh, yeah, sure. So I had forgotten to put this spread operator in the result. So that was the error. Now our last would be edit. So let's work on our edit, okay? It's going to be kind of similar like our create node. So let's copy this and oh, I just realized there is a, so it should be like this, not the one that I did. It's going to be like this. Okay. This is all spontaneous, so I make a lot of bugs and try to fix it. So let's create a file, update notes, update note.js, and refce. Let's save it. And before we forget, let's go inside app and create a route for this. Let's copy this and paste it. Instead of create node, instead of update node, we're going to just pass an ID, okay? And this is how we'll be passing an ID. And instead of create node, we're going to put update node. Okay, and let's save it. And also let's not forget to import this new component. And let's save it. Okay, now let's go to update node and copy this entire thing and let's paste it. So it should be update node. Let's copy this and so it's going to be update. Like, you know what? Anyways, it's okay. Update node, and I guess we need to change it in the export. Let's save it on update. So instead of create node, we're going to pass this update node endpoint that we had created in our controller. And so let's go in our controller.js. So in delete node, we just passed an ID because it only required ID from the body. But in update node, it requires all three: ID, title, and description. Okay. So using this ID that we pass from the body, it will know which ID to update by using this find by ID. And this title and description is the new title and new description that was updated. Okay, so let's close this and go inside our update node. Okay, so is update success, and let's not keep this loading thing. And we have this is update node mutation, which we got. So this mutation is coming from is update node mutation. Let's copy this so that we don't have any typo. And let's save it. And this should be the same. And let's go down. Okay, so state will be so we for the state we need to work on our so once update node is clicked from this nodes. Okay, so let's go down. So handle edit, I'm sorry. So on click handle edit. Okay, so once this is clicked, let's copy this and let's create a function to handle this edit first, because without doing that we can't do anything. We can't even go inside this update node component. So const we need to call this use params, import use params to get the parameter of what was selected. Okay, let's save it and let's see. I don't know if we are going to use this right now, but you know what? We have this selector thing, and this will allow us to get the ID. Like in delete node, this was the ID, right? So in handle edit also, we're going to pass this ID, okay? So let's do this template literal, and inside this let's pass ID node dot ID. Let's see if this works. If this works, then it's supposed to go inside this route, and it will hit this update node component, which is this, okay? And yeah, anyways, let's just save this. Okay, let's do console log here. Let's do okay, let's try to edit this. Okay, so it's going to read notes, and then oh, okay, so inside notes, so what happens, let's just save it and read notes, and let's select this last. Okay, it's actually going to this read notes link and then going to the ID. Okay, this looks fine to me, and let's go again inside our notes. Oh, we forgot to put this slash. Let's save it. Hopefully this should work. Yeah, small things actually make big issues here. So read notes and then edit. Okay, now it's going to the path, the route that we want, and so this is the ID it's being passed, which is correct. Now we can work on it. Let's go to update node.js. So okay, now we actually can use this. Let's cut this from here and inside our update nodes. Okay, this way we are able to get ID from params. Okay, so this ID, this value will be same as this. Okay, and now we can use this. We can pass this in the body. So oh, and also the other thing we need to do is we need to bring the selector. So import use selector and also select node by ID. There you go. Let's save it. And now the next thing we'd like to do is use selector and state such that select node by ID, and we're going to pass state and ID and ID, and the ID will be this ID, so it has to be below this. So Control X. Okay, now that we have ID, so this node dot ID should be the ID, and here the title will be like this, node dot title, and node dot description, and I think this should be update node success. Let's copy this and paste it here. Alright, so update node, and let's also pass the ID, and let's save it. Alright, let's test this. I'm not quite sure if this is going to work. Okay, edit, by laptop, create. Okay, saying update node.js 21. Let's go to 21. Oh, it's saying this is not defined. Okay, let's do like this. Console.log. Let's save it and let's try. Yeah, it's giving me the correct ID, and now let's see if Node has the data or not. So let's save it and let's check if this should be undefined, but what if Node data? Okay, let's try. It's actually nothing coming up. Read notes and edit. Okay, polish use. It's actually giving us, oh, it's actually working also. So once you click on this create, then it's giving the error. Okay. So or actually, you know what? This ID is not just the ID. It's going to be node.id, I guess, because to get access to the title, we type node.title. So to get access to ID, it should be node.id. So let's save it. Let's see if this works or not. Okay. Okay. So we update, once the update is success, it's actually supposed to navigate in read notes if it was success. It was not then. So let's go to our network tab